This week, I am so excited to have Amy Walton from Plan Now Party Later on the podcast. Amy is a virtual party consultant and planner and will help you plan your party from start to finish. So, Amy, thanks for being here. I'm excited to talk with you today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you. This is actually my first time ever being a guest on a podcast, so I'm very excited. Thank you.
You're welcome. A lot of people say that, and I feel like people are really scared about podcasts or to be on them, but I try and just like we're just talking. It's not
Yeah,
anything too scary.
it's a conversation.
Yeah. So, one of our last call questions, which you've seen those, we'll get to yours at the end, but I ask this question to every guest of what your biggest party hosting tip is. And
Mhm.
I'd say at least like half, if not more, say like planning ahead or starting early or
Yeah.
do everything beforehand. Anytime it comes to hosting a party, that's what most people say. So, can you share why, like, your company's called Plan Now, Party Later, which
It
like
is.
really falls into that category? Can you share why you think it's important to plan ahead?
Yeah, of course. I know I'm really driving that point home, aren't I?
You're
I
the
think there's
perfect person for this.
yeah. It's true. Planning ahead is the way to go. We can talk more about this later too. It's obviously not always practical, but in an ideal world, the sooner you can start thinking about things, the better. First of all, it's less stress for you. You're not running around at the last minute trying to think, what am I missing? What else did I forget? Running a ton of errands the same day. I we're coming upon Thanksgiving. I hate when I see person in the grocery store with their cart piled high. They're getting all their Thanksgiving groceries at the same time. I'm like, that's so much work on yourself when you could spread it out. Or so it's less stress for you. Also able to fine tune those special details. You can have time to custom order anything, spend more time researching fun ideas, and you also can save money. So you can think about what you need to buy a few months ahead of time. You can spread out in your budget when you're spending money on things. You can catch things on sale. So for a few reasons like those, it is really important when you can to plan ahead.
I am 100% going to be the person getting all of my Thanksgiving groceries like
Yep,
today or tomorrow.
you're not alone. It's most.
Yeah, I just like I kind of feel like it snuck up on me this year. Like I'm shocked Thanksgiving is next week.
I know. I am too. It always does.
Yeah, I order stuff online though, so that's easy. I just, type it in, it gets brought to my house. I'm not the one at the store pushing the heavy shopping cart, which I'm
Fighting
grateful
the
for. So,
crowds. Online
I
ordering is
you
definitely the way to go.
sorry, what was that?
Oh, online ordering is the best.
It really is, yeah.
Mhm.
You kind of covered this, but what are some things, like specific things people can do ahead of time to make hosting easier? Like we hear that kind of generality of like just plan ahead, but like what does that mean?
Yeah, definitely. So there's certain things with a few exceptions that you can do as early ahead of time as you want. Some things you have to wait until the event gets closer to know the details, but it's never too early to start shopping for some types of items, browsing online for ideas or recipes, thinking about who might be attending some, holiday events, thinking about a theme, or maybe what types of vendors you want to hire. So a lot of those types of things you really can't start too early, like months and months. There are certain things that you can start sort of honing in on a bit and then just start a list. I have so many lists in my phone on the notes app, just brainstorming different things for future events. There is one other specific tip I would give, on the first of every month. Look at your calendar and see what events are coming up for the whole month. See whose birthdays are coming up, see what holidays are that month, what anything else you have planned. Think of friends or family you haven't seen in a while that you want to get together with, and you can really start, reminding yourself of those things that are coming up so that they don't surprise you later in the month.
That's a great tip. I am probably going to need to take that on board. I'm the
Yeah,
worst about,
first of the month.
yeah, just like that kind of last minute. I don't know. I'm just not great about like planning well ahead of time. I get this like idea in my head, like, oh, we should have people over to do XYZ. And it's like a
Mhm.
week beforehand. And then I feel like people are either busy or then I am kind of rushing around to like get stuff ready and like make sure things are done ahead of time or for the party or whatever.
Mhm.
So what is besides like first of the month planning, is there something that you can like encourage those of us that are a little bit more last minute planners to maybe get better at?
For sure. And like I said, it's not for everyone and it's not always practical. I mean, lots of times you do just want to have friends over that week, for some wine and hang out, and that doesn't need to be planned months in advance, right? But I think you can always, and I didn't invent this, but I go by it a lot. You can always have a bottle of champagne in your fridge, kind of thing. You can always have a good frozen appetizer in the freezer, ready to thaw. I love those little puff pastries with the brie and the caramelized onions. I always have a box of those in my freezer. So if somebody, drops by, you want to have people over that week, you don't have to rush out and buy a bunch of things. So I like that tip. And then also I always have a variety of gift bags and tissue paper in my house. I have a little, gifting box. And so if another thing to keep on hand this time of year, especially, is little Starbucks gift cards, or other little, I don't always like giving generic gifts, but you can have some mugs, some candles, some gift cards, some things, especially this time of year. But if it's someone, a few things around the house that you can pull together, where you don't actually have to go out and rush around and buy a bunch of things last minute. I think that helps.
Yeah, that's a great point for this time of year. I've always had this like really lofty, at least it seems lofty to me, idea of having like a gift stash where you do just have kind
Yeah.
of maybe they're a little bit more generic, like candles, mugs, whatever, like you're
Yeah.
saying, but just like having some ready to go.
It is
I've never
helpful.
actually
Yeah.
accomplished that, but it's a
No.
great idea.
Theoretically, it's great. Starbucks gift cards, though, like the next time you go through the Starbucks drive-through or you're in the store, grab however many you can afford, 5, 3, 10 of those to have around. They never expire. That's always a good gift to use. That's not a big. It's also small to store.
Yeah, that's a good point. It doesn't take up a lot of space. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that like you can look back on that has made you like enjoy this space of like organizing, list making, planning ahead? Is there something like from your childhood or how you were raised, or is it just like this is who you are?
It's definitely just who I am. Nothing specific as far as like childhood, but actually I guess there is, because I always used to beg my sister to let me organize and reorganize her desk drawers when we were kids. I don't know why, but she just had all her fun office supplies and stickers in these drawers, and I just always wanted to organize it and make it as neat and organized as possible. I've always made lists. Even as kids, my sister and I would make a list on Friday night for what we were going to do Saturday morning. We'd be like 6 o'clock, wake up, 6:10, watch cartoons. Like, just so silly when I was like 7. But so I love a good list. I think I always have. And I've always liked things. I'm not really a minimalist. So I like having specific places in order to things, even when there are a lot of them. So I feel like that's where organizing comes in a bit as well.
I love that. I feel sorry for your parents if you're waking up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday.
I
Oh
know.
my gosh.
We were early risers.
I will say that I think I'm starting to groom my kids to kind of do that though, because almost
Yeah.
every Saturday I will make like a list of chores for them to do before they can watch TV. So it's,
Uh-huh.
and it's simple things that they have to do every day, like make their bed or brush their teeth or pick something up or put something away or clean something. But they're getting so used to it that they like almost want to have a list every day or like every Saturday to like check it
Love it.
off. And my
Yeah.
daughter organizes her desk drawer like at least every other week, or like her like art stuff like every other week. So I bought her a bunch of like little containers and things that she can put stuff in. And she got so excited. She's like, oh my gosh, I have like
Love it.
organizers.
It's fun. I mean, so many people follow accounts like the Home Edit or like the
Mhm.
really, high class organizing pantry and all of that. It's pretty to look at. It's fun to do sometimes. It's nice to know where everything is. So I feel like there's some benefits to that. My pantry does not look like that though, by the way.
Mine doesn't either. I try, but it's just kind of like with kids, sometimes they put things back in weird
No.
places.
Yeah.
When you're talking about lists, is there like a particular app or thing that you use to like make lists or organize your lists or place just kind of like put all of your ideas? Because I think a lot of times maybe some people get a little overwhelmed and like, I have all these ideas, I need to write them down, but like if I put it in a notepad, I'm going to lose it. Or like sometimes things get lost on the phone too. So like, what do you use to kind of make your lists?
Yeah, I know there are probably a lot of great apps that I am bad at discovering and using. I'm kind of basic with it, and it is true. Sometimes it is hard to remember where you wrote it down. I use just the basics notes app usually in my phone, but I title things very specifically: to do, to buy, to make, to research. Sometimes I'll even put a little emoji icon at the front of it to trigger my mind if it's like something to buy, or if something related to food or a party or something like that. I feel like I'm sort of a visual learner in that sense. It helps me identify which list is which. Sometimes I use my calendar as well, paper calendar or in my phone. I don't just put, events in there. I'll be like Monday, I'll be like, go to the store, buy this, research this. I'll actually put them on a day of the week so that when I wake up that morning, it's like a to-do list built into my calendar. I find that sometimes works better for me. If I forget to check the to-do list, I'm going to check my calendar that day. And so I will use that a lot as well. And then, yeah, by day of the week, you can have a list by type of item, by store, by part of town. If you're planning ahead for a party and you're like, I really want to buy some gold, vases or candle holders for this party. It's going to be a gold theme. You can, every time you go to a different store or you're out, you can be looking for gold items. So lists like that by type of item, sometimes if you're planning ahead, can be helpful.
I love it. Those were really great, like lots of different ways, like pick
Yeah.
and choose what works for you of how to kind of like organize your list and what you're using. I love the idea of like putting those to-dos on your calendars on certain days. I have probably within the last year, my husband has converted me from like paper calendar to electronic calendar. So I am like on my Google Calendar all day, every day. And like seeing what I need to do on those days, I think would be so helpful. So I'm like probably from now until Thanksgiving, gonna go start plugging in some things I need to get done.
And I will move them too. If I didn't get it done that day, that's okay. I'm going to bump it to Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to shift things around. I do that a lot so that I don't forget about it, but it's also okay if I didn't do everything on my Monday list. I'm just going to find another slot for it on my calendar.
Yeah, and probably is helpful with like time management too, because sometimes I feel
Mhm.
like we can get overwhelmed when we do see just like one gigantic list of like
Yeah.
all these things we need to do. But if you know that like buying the groceries is going to take 30 minutes or whatever, setting the table is going to take 30 minutes, you're like, oh, I can just slot that in somewhere else. And it's not like super overwhelming of like this whole task I have to do. It's like, oh no, it's squeezed into that 30-minute slot. This was like kind of revolutionary for me. So
I love that. I'm so happy.
yeah, I'm going to be using that for sure.
Good.
That was obviously helpful to me. Why would someone else want to use you as like a virtual party consultant? And how can you help them plan the party, execute the party? Like, what do you actually do? I've gotten this question a lot before. Like, how do you actually help people do a party, especially virtually?
Yeah, I know. And it's so funny. Just as a side note, I remember I found you because I was looking for party friends on Instagram, and we have the same first name, and we both do virtual party planning. It was like our header was the same. I was like, I need to be friends with this person.
Yeah.
But virtual is a unique thing, right? Obviously, some people want you to come to their house in person and set up the party. That's not what I do primarily. I also don't prefer to plan, like, I call them Kardashian level parties. I lived in LA and Orange County for a long time. Like, I don't do that. I could, but it's not actually where I thrive, what I prefer. So there are some people who want the above and beyond, which they're better suited, for an in-person, different kind of party planner. But I feel like my virtual services are ideal for a couple of different types of people. First of all, if you're not sure where to start, you've never planned a party, whether you're young, you're starting to host maybe bridal showers for your friends, bachelorette parties, or you've just always seen these big events and never thought you could do it, don't know where to start, let me help you, and then I can provide all of the where to start, do all the research, provide the lists, the to do, to buy, to order, even links on Amazon. Here's a filled out shopping cart, just click purchase, really set it up in a way that's much less overwhelming. Another group of people would be, you could do it, but you're too busy, right? Theoretically, you could do it. You know how it's done. You have the ideas, but you don't have time. So same thing, providing those links and to-do lists and organized grocery list. I like to organize it by the aisle of the store, dairy, produce. That's very helpful for busy people to be able to execute a really amazing party without, spending as much time. And then I just listened to actually an episode of one of your other podcasts, and you were speaking about Pinterest being so overwhelming,
Mhm.
the like decision fatigue, too many ideas. I love to help people with that. I love it because I love the Pinterest black hole. I love a Google keyword search. I love to do all that for you. But then once you have all the ideas, you need to shut it down at some point, right? Because there are endless ideas, and you get yourself into trouble when you can't, make a decision and then move to the next. So I love helping people with that as well. Let me scour everything for you, narrow it down for you, give you the 1 to 3 best of the best ideas in each category. They still have input, but it's much less overwhelming. And you have a plan on how to move forward through all those ideas.
I love it. I feel like we could just team up and do this.
I know. Let's do it.
That's the best. No, the fact that you can like help reduce the amount of decisions somebody has to make is so huge. I love that you like one thing you said that you do is make just like everything on an Amazon list. I'm like, oh, that's genius to like just click everything in the cart or like set the cart up. It's ready to go. I mean, I know I'm definitely somebody that's, like I said already, kind of last minute sometimes. So it's like, oh, it can be here in 2 days. Fantastic. Like
We love
let's do
Amazon
that.
Prime.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. And it sounds like great, like obviously a great resource for those types of people. But then I think also if it's something that you enjoy doing, but like you just want some help, or maybe have somebody that like has different ideas than you do, or can approach it differently, or maybe you enjoy it, but you're not organized and you can kind of help get them set on the right path. So it's really awesome. In your experience helping others plan their parties, is there something that you found that has kind of like made those parties more of an experience, or something that you recommend adding to a party that will make it a little bit more memorable instead of just like the cookie cutter bridal shower or cookie cutter baby shower or something like that? I feel like in those age ranges where you're going to a lot of bridal showers, you basically see the same thing at each of them. So what is something that you recommend to kind of make it a little bit more personalized or memorable or an experience?
Yeah, sure. I love that. And I think it's really important. And touching on what you said too, I do think the planning can be very collaborative. Like start with ideas, but then add, special touches to make it more memorable, for example. I think one thing, and I know this can be controversial, but sometimes the more the better. The more decor. I hesitate for an overfilled dessert table because it can be so wasteful and impractical. You see those Pinterest dessert tables where they have like 55 different options for 20 people. Who's eating all
Yeah.
that? But visually, it's stunning and beautiful. And if you add some height with different items on a flat table, I also have a little tip here, but I like to walk through a party, quote unquote, as the guest. So I like to see what they're going to see first. Go outside, open the door. Where does the eye go first? And do you have a banner there? Do you have a little bunch of balloons there? Do people know where to get a drink and a snack? So I think the flow is really important for a memorable experience at a party. Do people feel comfortable? When they walk in, if they don't know anybody, where to go, what to do. So yeah, visually, the more the better sometimes. Visually, practically speaking, how to navigate. And then special details on those focal points. You don't need to decorate every wall of your house, but if you have 2 or 3 focal points, what do you see when you first walk in? Where's the food? Maybe where's the desserts? Maybe where are the presents going? People going to sit. If you focus on adding a little more to those areas, I feel like people really take notice of it. Speaking of the extra desserts on the table, I love a take-home container. So what are you going to do with all that pretty food afterwards? Send it home, send it out. Little baggies, zip top bags. You can go cheap or expensive. You can have really nice take-home containers, Tupperware, little cardboard folding boxes for cupcakes, or just like Ziploc bags. But sending people home with things like extra food is always kind of fun. And then party favors that people actually really like, I think. I love those cookies that are so popular right now, the beautifully ornately decorated cookies, but like that also taste good. Those are a really good favor to have at each person's place setting, for example, or extra, cupcakes or special favors. Sometimes it's the little, I don't know, I don't need a Jordan almond in my life. I don't need maybe another nail polish or something. Sometimes a little plant is really nice, little succulents. I do like that sometimes, but I think a party favor people are actually going to like helps it become a little more memorable as well.
Yeah, love that. Those are all really good ideas. I was cracking up when you said Jordan almond because I just think of that scene in Bridesmaids. That's like,
Yes.
they have like food poisoning and they just keep eating them. Oh my gosh, so funny. It's
Also,
disgustingly funny.
they are, I know, it really is. Those things chip your teeth. They're not, they're crunchy. Jordan almonds, I don't know who invented those. There are better treats.
To be honest, I don't really know what it is. It's just like almond
Oh,
with something around
um,
it, but
it's like an M&M. It's like a candy coated almond, but the candy coating is so hard and
oh,
crunchy. They're not great, but you can get them in pretty colors. They look visually appealing because you can kind of custom color the coating on the outside.
yeah. Oh, that's so fun. It's
A little
I
old fashioned.
like, yeah, a little old fashioned, and I can see how they visually would be nice, but I would seriously just think about that scene in Bridesmaids every
I
time I
know.
saw
So
it.
true. It's
Just
very
so
true.
funny. Oh my gosh. Okay, such good ideas for like any type of party. Can we talk a little bit about holidays coming up? Things like we said, Thanksgiving's next week. I'm not prepared. What what are some things? It's such a big hosting season.
Yeah.
Getting prepped for Thanksgiving, it's a big meal, and then obviously everything coming up with like gift giving and that kind of stuff. What are some things we can be planning ahead for?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously it's the week before, right? So I'm not gonna. I don't know when this will air. Maybe after Thanksgiving, actually. But I wouldn't speak about like start 3 months ago. That's not helpful to you.
Right.
But what I can say are a lot of different things. So something I love to do is organizing your serving dishes ahead of time. So don't wait till the night before to try to remember where you put your gravy boat or enough serving spoons for everything. I like to get those out so many days or weeks ahead of time. You can even do your table layout. So figure out where everything's going to fit on the stove and on the table. And then I like to take a post-it note and write the name of the dish, put it on there, and then take photos of all of that. So you know you have it, it's accounted for, you remember what goes where, and then you can put it all back away so it's not in your way for weeks. But I like to know that I have every single dish and spoon that I'm going to need because Thanksgiving and all holiday meals really are so food forward. If you're missing that third casserole dish, it's like a big deal. So
Yeah.
that's one thing I like to do. Yeah, taking that full inventory of your dishware and everything well ahead of time. And then as far as shopping, so I like to turn your menu into an ingredients list and then into a grocery list. Um, which if you go into the grocery store and you're like, I need to make spinach dip, that's not helpful. I need 3 sticks of butter. I need 2 cups of milk, but I also need 2 cups of milk in that other recipe. So I need 4 cups of milk. It's doing that ahead of time so that when you're in the store, you're not doing the math on all your recipes and blindly throwing, I still do this, but blindly throwing extra butter in the cart because you're terrified you're going to run out. So it's being really organized with the lists, getting it down to exactly what you need to buy for everything. And I do love to shop for the non-perishable groceries ahead of time. The beer, the wine, anything, crackers, anything that can, not going to go bad. There's no need to be in the crowded grocery store the week before, or the week of getting those things. I like to have a separate non-perishables grocery list that I do at least a couple weeks in advance. Week before is great too. And then the week of your perishables, some things you have to get the day before, but some things you can get 2 or 3 days before, like most of the produce. So I like to space that out. It's just my personal preference, but I'd rather do multiple smaller trips that are more like organized than trying to remember to grab everything at once. It can be so overwhelming. Obviously, some people prefer it, and I understand it's the most efficient. But I feel like for my own sanity, I'd rather have categories, different lists for different types of items, and not have that huge piled shopping cart.
Yeah. Oh shoot, there was something I was going to say that I just forgot. Um, Oh, you were talking about like throwing things in the cart. I think this time of year, and I kind of start this in October, where it's like almost every grocery order or time I'm at the grocery store, I will throw butter in and
A little
flour
extra.
and sugar and brown sugar because you're going to be like baking for the next 3 months.
Mhm.
So might as
That's
well like
that
have
is
that
a great
stuff.
tip. Yep, that is really smart. If you can just already have some of those baking staples in your house and you don't have to make a special trip or calculate how much you're going to need because you just know you have enough, that is super helpful. Other thing I like is making a cooking schedule. So like what time the turkey goes in, right? Do all the casseroles fit in the oven? How long do they take? What temperature? That Thanksgiving or holiday dinner cooking schedule is so key.
It really is, especially if you have one oven and it's like on all day and you're just like going
Mhm.
constantly. Do you have like a recipe, like a go-to recipe for like a holiday appetizer that you're like, I always make this, or I can make it really fast because I already know it?
Yeah, I always make this warm spinach and artichoke dip. It's so good. It's from scratch. It's the flour and butter, and then a lot of cream and cheese and spinach and artichoke, tortilla chips to dip. It's delicious. My sister does a big kind of cheese and charcuterie board these days for Thanksgiving, but I still put it in there with the other snacks, as like one kind of hot dish item. I don't like to do too many hot appetizers on Thanksgiving because you don't want people to fill up on appetizers and not be hungry for the big meal that you just slaved over for a week. But
Yeah,
the warm spinach and artichoke dip is delicious, especially as the weather's colder.
that's awesome. That's a good go-to for like any party from now until New Year's. Like,
Yes,
that's a good
for
one.
sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, can you tell us where everybody can find you? I mean, are you taking clients like up through Christmas, or like what's your schedule like? How busy are you?
Yeah, I definitely am still taking clients. So you can find me at plannowpartylater.com. That's same name as my Instagram handle and on Facebook as well. So what I do is I'm offering actually right now like a special discounted rate for the planning services for the holidays. So it's 99 bucks and it comes with like 10 pages of all these tips, a few of which we've talked about here, but then it also includes the call with me to go through and customize your menu, your ideas, your ingredients list, your grocery list, your cooking timeline. So all the stuff we just spoke about, I do all that for you and just present you with here, do these things on these days, put them in your calendar like we spoke about. So I definitely am still taking clients for that. That you receive all the tips, like I said, and then the phone call with me, the hour or two to work through everything. So I'm able to help a lot of people, which is what I love. So right now I'm advertising it as Thanksgiving, but before we know it, I'm going to switch it to advertising similar for holiday. So any kind of get together, big or small, whether it's a big family meal on the actual Christmas day, whatever, or you're hosting a few friends for a white elephant cookie swap. Your office does a holiday party, anything around the holidays, I always love to help people with because it's similar, meal kind of not meal prep, but like planning your menu and then also adding for the seasonal decor and things like that. So yes, definitely.
Awesome. We'll make sure we have links to it, so people can check it out and get you booked. I love the idea of like, if you are in charge of your office party, like get some help. You're the perfect person for that. Like that's so smart to say like, hey, office people, give me like
Yeah,
99 bucks so I can get this thing planned and done. And it's like, you don't have to add it to your work list. That's fantastic.
absolutely.
Uh,
I know those tasks often fall on person. I've been an administrative person, office manager, and that person has 10,000 other tasks to do. So yeah, definitely get the help. It's pretty quick and simple. You give me all your ideas, I generate out here's the best plan to execute everything.
that's awesome. You did kind of mention like the planning that you're doing for the holidays. It's like probably fairly similar from every party to party. Is there like a common thing that you're seeing with clients from like Thanksgiving through the holidays and New Year's? Like, what are some common either like trends or like the menus are the same? I just think it's so interesting. Like, we all have these separate parties, but they're probably very similar.
Yeah, everyone loves a charcuterie board these days. The bigger, the better. There are a lot of companies actually who cater those as well, if you don't want to bother. But and technically, charcuterie just means meat. I like to
Yeah.
remind people it's a cheese board, but anyway, you know what I mean. All those beautiful things you can add in seasonal items. Like right now, a lot of people add in like pomegranate seeds, persimmons, dried orange slices, rosemary, all the fall, winter sort of produce and elements. I feel like a lot of people do that. Or there's this tip a lot of people use where you have something yummy smelling simmering on the stove to make your house smell good instead of a candle, like cinnamon, orange, cloves, cranberries, apple cider in a big kind of crock pot or dish on the stove. I feel like is a good way. It's something a lot of people do. As far as themes, a lot of people also have their own kind of family traditions, that are separate. But everyone has a big meal. Some dishes you've been making for years. Some dishes you want to try something new. And I feel like it's just all, about bringing people together, friends or family, and yeah, keeping those traditions, but kind of mixing it up with fun new stuff as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would agree just being in the party space that like all of those things make sense. Everybody wants all of those things.
Yeah.
And I do love that you can add those seasonal touches to like make it a little bit more, you know, like here and now it's winter, like we're gonna have those smells, we're gonna have those
Yeah.
tastes or those flavors. So that's awesome that you're seeing that. Okay, let's get into these fun kind of last call questions
Yeah.
before we run out of time. What is the best party that you've hosted?
Um, it's got to be one of my sister's events. So my sister is married with kids, and so I've done her uh, bridal shower, bachelorette, baby showers, all of that. Her bachelorette was really fun. We did kind of like a neon colors theme. We went to San Diego. Instead of a hotel, we actually rented a house. We rented a big Airbnb house. She has a lot of friends. It was 3-story house. I felt like I was in my sorority days again, filled with girls, and then planning all the snacks and like specialty cocktails and ordering the typical bachelorette matching little accessories and cups for people. That was really fun.
That's awesome. It is great when you get to kind of like be with somebody through all of those stages of life and see all those parties and kind of how they mature, change over time. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't have a sister, but I feel like that would be fun.
Yeah.
I've done that with like friends, but not
Oh, for
sisters. So
sure. Yeah, it's really special.
yeah. Okay, what is the best community that you've been a part of and what's made it so great?
I'm definitely really close with all of my family and extended family. It does help that we all live in California, but regardless, I feel like we, manage to get together a lot and stay really close. And then, like I mentioned, also my sorority from college. I was a Tri Delta at UC Irvine, and I didn't know anything about Greek life when I started college. But I didn't realize that UC Irvine was kind of a commuter school, and I wasn't local, so everybody went home on the weekends. And I was like, "What do I do?" So my friend was like, come to sorority rush with me just as something to do for that weekend. And I said, okay. And I ended up loving it. It was such a good way to make friends and have something to do, whether you're studying, whether you're throwing a party. It just gave me a huge group of friends to, figure out fun things to do with and always have. And there's a good group of us that have still stayed friends this age as me, probably 20 years later. So it's really, yeah, that I'm really grateful that I stumbled upon that kind of opportunity.
Yeah, I love that it was like you didn't realize like, oh, everybody
No.
leaves. I need something to do. Like
Yeah,
that
I
is
didn't realize
that's a good
everyone was
point.
local. My dorm cleared out, and I was like, yeah, where do I go? What do I do? So definitely gave people to hang out with, who I may not have found, organically.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's a really good tip for anybody like in a new situation. Like
Yeah.
just say yes and show up to something and see if it works
Say
and find
yes,
your people.
find a group of people doing something, or an opportunity like that. I agree.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. What's your best party hosting tip? I feel like we've covered a lot, but can you narrow it down to one?
We just one?
I know.
Okay, since I'll summarize the two we already touched upon, and then I'll do a new one.
Okay.
We summarized start early, blah, 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 right? We know. I summarized walk through as a guest in air quotes. So literally go outside your house, come in. Where does your eye lead first? What are you missing? Or can people find a drink and a snack? I say a drink, a snack, and a seat. Can people easily find those on their own? That's a great tip to make people feel comfortable. But a new tip I will add is having a day of party emergency kit. Whether you're in your house or you're hosting at like a clubhouse or something, you're always looking for the same things. You always need a lighter if there's candles. You need scissors. You need a cake cutter, pens, paper, a Sharpie. What are a few others? Trash bags, paper towels for a spill, containers for leftovers, your phone charger. Always tape and scissors, though. I like to put all those, even in my own house, pull them from all the cupboards and drawers, put them in one place so that if somebody asks, you say, here you go. And you're not like, oh, let me run upstairs. I think I have that. It's just it feels so much less stressful. And it also makes you look like a really good host to just have things at the tip of your fingers when people ask for them. And always make sure you have enough water as well. People focus on cocktails, and you also need to serve water. I drink a lot of water. Some people don't, but I always notice when people don't have enough like water bottles or something at a party. So hydration as well.
That's awesome. I love that like party emergency kit idea
Yes.
and how it truly does like make you seem like Mary Poppins, like you've got a
Yeah.
bag full of
You
everything.
need tape. Oh, you need this.
Well, and then the thought of just like not having to run around to multiple places, like
Mhm.
takes so much of a stress off of
Yeah.
you. That's awesome. This was fantastic. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, we'll have links to your website and all of your services in our show notes. But I really just want to say thank you. I think what you do for other people is really cool and people should take advantage of it because it really is helpful in probably a stressful situation if you're planning a party. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so fun chatting with you.
Yeah, definitely.